On this episode of Gun Talk Hunt, you're going to notice a few changes. We got a great panel today, and we're talking big game, but we're talking very small calibers. What's too small for the big game? I'm KJ. You found the right place. We go all over this little blue orb, sharing stories and tactics about chasing wild game. Now, let's get on the hunt. Welcome in, Gun Talk Hunters. This episode is brought to you by Remington Ammo, Savage Arms, Range Ready Studios, and Timney Triggers. Man, you're already noticing all the new things around here on Gun Talk Hunt. The new set, the new logo, a whole panel of guests each week dedicated around one central theme. And it's all new guests all the time. This week's panel is a big panel, but we're talking about small calibers. First, let's jump right in. All the way from Oklahoma. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Not too shabby. Can't complain. How are you?
Dude, I can't complain, honestly. Like it's a good day. It's a great new look to the show. We're trying something else different, and we're going to continue with this with great panelists like yourself. But first, let's talk small calibers, big game. Let's jump into the ethics of this thing and minimum calibers for big game. What do the ethics look like on that?
Well, you're putting me on the spot with this because you closely guarded your topics, but this happens to be a topic that I love. So let's dive in. Let's start here. There's a reason that the 22 long rifle, the 223, the AR-15 are so popular. That's because they don't recoil a lot. And you can even put the 6.5 Creedmoor in that lot because most people don't handle recoil that well. They shoot from the bench. A lot of people's technique isn't even perfect. But I think when you're shooting animals, I think that a couple of things in the equation that add up to energy, and I really believe you need a bullet that has energy for big game, and that is velocity times the mass of that bullet. And then the other factor that you need is a well-constructed bullet. But when you get those things, you can shoot any animal ethically from about any angle. I don't understand the whole this whole trend to go lower caliber, less energy, because if all things are perfect and you have the perfect shot and shot placement, you don't need a whole lot of energy. Most things will do the job, but it's when it's on the marginal shots. It's on bigger, tough game and marginal shots when maybe you've got a let's see, you got a 6.5 Creedmoor and you have an elk at 350 yards, maybe 400, and he's quartering away. Suddenly that 6.5 Creedmoor becomes marginal. But you take a 300 Win Mag and you don't have to worry about it. You can shoot those marginal shots, in my opinion, and that bullet will just do its job pretty much every time. Now, the trade-off is there's recoil, and a lot of people, I already mentioned that some people don't handle recoil that well, and I've noticed, as much as I think that I'm a decent shot, I notice I shoot a 22 long rifle a lot better than I shoot a 300 Win Mag, and that's generally because there's recoil. So my thing is get the biggest. What I would advise, or I'm not the hunting police. What I do for myself is I get the biggest caliber, that I feel like I can shoot well, and I'm not scared of the gun in different positions, and so that's my philosophy. But I do not really love the trend on going smaller caliber and less energy for big game. One more example I'll give. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but I
get fired up.
No, I know. I like that you're getting fired up because this is a topic that's very sensitive to a lot of people. But it's the energy that I more worry about. It's not necessarily a small caliber because I do believe speed kills. And shot placement is everything. When you talk about small calibers, what can you shoot well? And I think that's kind of where you're going with. And what shots are you willing to take to bring down the animal ethically, right?
Right, and I guess I was a little bit confused there. If you're just talking about the technical caliber, the diameter of the bullet, with a 257 Weatherby mag, you can kill anything on the face of the earth, as some of the African hunters have proven, as long as you have a well constructed bullet. and I'm a Barnes guy because you don't have to worry about it. But, when the Weatherby's came out, they were ahead of their time, and they didn't have the bullet. Didn't have the bullet technology to keep up with it. So it's great. Some of the Weatherby's with bad bullets are great at 400 yards. But if a moose pops up at 30 yards and you shoot it in the shoulder with any caliber with a crappy bullet, that bullet's going to blow up. But what happened to Weatherby specifically, that Nosler came out with the partition and totally changed the game. So a 257 Weatherby mag, for example, I'm just using that because it's a speed demon, with a Barnes bullet, I feel like you could kill anything in the world. I still lean towards that mass energy on the biggest game, but I do feel like with proper sharp placement, you could kill anything with that caliber.
I think bullet construction nowadays is massive, and I've talked to Seth Swerchek over at Hornady about this very thing, and how has bullet construction changed over the years. And you're talking about Barnes, and they've done a great job in innovating, and so does Hornady. But I've got so I'm sitting there hunting with a buddy. I've got a 204 Ruger, a 204, giant hogs. I don't know how it happened, but a giant herd of hogs comes out, and I pick the biggest one I can, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm going to shoot this thing in the ear if I can. Shoot it in the ear, drop it, dead nuts, done. Completely dead. But I feel like a lot of that's bullet construction. Now the 204, is it designed for hogs? Absolutely not. There's no way. But it's shot placement.
Right. And when I said Barnes, I was talking about all copper, Hornady's GMX,
CX,
the same thing.
All those, yeah.
So I did extensive testing. I shot a 300, he was 276 because I weighed him, 276 pound boar here behind my house. I'd seen him a bunch and shot him and put him in the freezer, and this is all on video, and brought out a bunch of different calibers, a bunch of different bullets, and shot that pig. A subsonic 300 blackout wouldn't even penetrate the gristle.
Right.
At 100 yards. The 223s would, but it depended on the bullet. 9mm wouldn't even penetrate the gristle. Just crazy. But then you get a 243 with and whistles through both sides.
Yep.
No big deal. But I think there's a bunch in bullet construction, and I'm dying to hear what these other guys think too.
Oh, I am too. And for that, I think we need to head in and we need to talk to the Tyler Freel. And I know he's got something to say about this, because Tyler, man, you have stirred a hornet's nest over the past 2 or 3, 4 years about shooting big game, because you have plenty of access to them up there in Alaska with small calibers. So just talk to me about it, man. I know you want to just lay into Jeff right now.
No, I don't mind. I don't want to lay into Jeff at all. Probably condensing my thoughts into what we can fit here is going to be the challenge. I think the thing I would add is some of this kicking the hornet's nest has been on purpose, because I'm just like that a little bit, but it's all been good reason that I really have changed the way I think about a lot of things, as far as whether terminal ballistics or rifle accuracy. A lot of these things the more I've shot over the past few years, the more my mindset has changed. And I mean, as far as cartridge or rifle bullet energy goes, I almost think it's an irrelevant metric. It's not, I think it's a metric that doesn't tell us anything without a bunch of extra caveats. You hear, historically you'd hear, well, you need 1,500 foot-pounds of energy for elk or whatever, on down the line. But not a single person has ever been able to articulate, just based on that number, what that means in terminal performance and damage to the animal. And especially over the past few years, I've come to think that, bullet construction is huge, but impact velocity and knowing the impact velocity range that your bullet's designed to function in is a much, much bigger, and how that bullet functions is a much, much bigger or more valuable metric to look at. And that's kind of what I have shifted to looking at in anything I'm hunting. And one quick example of just the energy things. I shot a big black bear last year with 338 Win Mag with 225 grain Hornady CX bullets. It had been shot with a bow, and we thought initially, we had a few seconds to decide, and initially we're like up too far forward. We thought it was outside the chest cavity. So I shot, and the bear flinched and ran another 60 yards and died. And it looked like a broadhead wound.
No kid.
Through the bear. And then, the two bears I shot the following days with 6.5, Creedmoor 143 ELDXs, the damage was like much more catastrophic. And those are just two examples, but it's just one way to get you thinking that like energy alone doesn't tell us anything. And even bullet function, like what kind of wound does that bullet make?
Right.
And as it translates to smaller stuff, I think the capabilities of especially some of these newer like high BC smaller caliber bullets, I think the wounding capability of them is far beyond what a lot of people give it credit for.
I think you're right, man. And when you look at like some of the stuff that you've done, the first video that I remember, like that or first article and video and like social media posts that you pump out, and you talked about it on the Tundra Talk podcast, is the grizzly bear. And that one sticks out in my mind when you shot the grizzly bear with a 6.5, and everybody was like, how could you do that? And I'm like, one, he knows his ballistics, he knows his shooting capabilities, and your follow-up shot, because you want to put the animal down as quick as possible, your follow-up shot was faster than I have seen someone put a follow-up shot on, and just as good a shot on any critter that I've seen on any of the hunting shows, because you can control it.
Yeah, and that's a part of it too, but also worth pointing out that, I mean, that's with grizzly bears and a lot of animals, like if you can make follow-up shots, it's a lot of times a good idea to do so. But that bear was hosed the first shot. I mean, to put a hole the size of a baseball through the thing's lungs, and I mean, he was spraying blood everywhere as he was spinning around. Done. So, I mean, that's a big attraction to me. And it's not it's for, I think it's truly beneficial sometimes for people you don't have to pick the smallest cartridge. I sometimes am testing the limits for specific purposes, but a cartridge that that you really you can tolerate and shoot really well, which gets into recoil management. When I talk about it, I'm not the general idea that a lot of people think, can you handle this gun? It doesn't mean I can shoot this thing without crying or tasting colors, or that I'm not scared of the gun, because I'm not scared of any of the rifles I have, but I can absolutely shoot lower recoiling rifles better and control the rifle through the shot better, see impacts better, make follow-up shots more quickly if they're necessary. And all these pieces work together into a complete, cohesiveness that gives me a lot more confidence. And when I know the bullet's going to do the job, I find myself with a safe full of bigger rifles that I just ask myself why would I pick that over this? Well, not even like why would I pick my 300 PRC to shoot a moose over my 6 Creedmoor when it's going to work totally fine. We both have kiddos growing up in this hunting world. And so that to me is what you're saying too, is what are your kids going to shoot really well? Like, start stocking the safe with that, because if they can shoot it with confidence and not like sit there and go, Dad, you really want me to shoot this 300 rum? Like, I mean, I will, but I don't know where that shot's going, because they're anticipating like a mother. But not even to go that far. Like your average 30-06 without a break or a can, rips pretty good. But my 7-year-old daughter kills black bears with a 22 arc. I know. This little guy right here. That's crazy.
All right, man. Tyler, thank you. Looking to trim a few LBs out of your pack or just your firearm? Check out the Savage 110 Carbon Predator. 2 swing swivel studs, matte black carbon steel receiver, 2-piece Weaver style bases, proof research barrel. Yeah, it's carbon wrap, so that's where some of the weight savings is going to come. And you won't be disappointed because they offer it in a lot of different variations. 6mm arc, 223 Remington, 22-250, a favorite of mine, 308, 65 Creedmoor, and 300 Blackout. Now, you're talking about weight. You're talking about, well, how much really is it going to weigh? Trust me, you're going to be able to carry this thing all day. It's under that 7-pound range, so I promise you it's accurate too. So trust Savage 110 Carbon Predator for all your weight savings. Tired of your range time being just mag dumps and Instagram flexing? Enter Range Ready Training, where Director of Awesomeness and everything else, Chris Serino, turns keyboard warriors into actual warriors. Or something like that. Pretty dang close, I would say. Yeah, the guy's been there, done that. Pistol, check. Rifle, check. Yeah, we got it all. Force on force, we do that every now and then too. Bring your bruises, instructor development. Welcome to the Thunderdome of learning. It's more than training, it's range ready because real life doesn't come with a respawn button. Looking to level up your hunt and tighten up those groups? Well, look no further than Remington Ammo. Yeah, the stuff in the green box is super accurate, and they've got everything from hunting ammo all the way to NRL, like match ammo. So check those out. Remington Premier, from Premier Tip AccuTip to match grade ammunition, all in that green box you love, you trust, and you adore. Find it all at remington.com. Feel like your trigger's holding you back more than your ex? Fix that with the Timney Alpha competition trigger for the Ruger RXM. It's got a crisp 3-pound pull, no adjustments, no drama, just pure, smooth performance. It installs easier than IKEA furniture and comes fully hand-assembled, tested, and calibrated by real humans, not robots or over-caffeinated raccoons. Made in the USA and backed by a legendary lifetime warranty, yes, it will make you more accurate. The rest is on you. We're going to jump over. Now we're going to talk to Brian Krebs. Brian, now you've heard the previous two guests, absolutely phenomenal takes on it. Where do you land on small calibers for big game?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, KJ. Everything that I do from the podcast and helping people is like I want people to get out west and have good experiences. I want them to experience the passion that we all have for big game. And, this conversation can, a good experience means making a good shot and having a good recovery. And you can trade one for the other pretty easily. I mean, you can make a great shot with a 22 LR on an elk and have a horrible recovery, right? And so I'm trying to maximize that to help people have good experiences. Or you could go and have like a 338 Lapua that's going to put an elk down no problem, but have a terrible shot, and that's not going to lead to a good experience either. So I like Jeff. He picked two rifles that is pretty relevant because I shoot a 300 Win Mag. My wife shoots a 6.5 Creedmoor, right? So we approach shot placement or shot decision differently, right? She can't shoot that 6.5 Creedmoor and do the same things I'm doing with a 300 Win Mag. They're different rifle systems. Now bullet quality, that is, I think, a standard. Like there's some foundational things, right? We have to have good shot placement. In this day and age, we need to understand our bullets and our bullet performance. I like what Tyler said with understanding your terminal ballistics. A lot of people like to look at muzzle ballistics, which it doesn't really apply when you're hunting with a rifle. Yeah. You need to know what that bullet's doing 300 yards downrange. And I like to put all this together in a way that anyone can apply it, whether you're a 7-year-old daughter or whether you're like me, a 6'2" guy that's 50 pounds overweight. What does that mean? And so I look at it like a triangle. I'm trying to maximize the area of this triangle between the shooter capability, the weapon system capability, and the distance to that particular animal on that day and that shot, right? And so if you borrow points from the weapon system to give them to the shooter, you don't really change much. You still have to get maybe to a different distance. But if you can get as a better shooter, if you can get a better weapon system, if you can get closer, like these are all things that increase that area of that triangle that's just going to lead to better chances at a good experience. And there's a lot of things you can do with that. Like you can practice and you can become a better shooter. You can practice your stocking skills and you can get closer. You can take a 300 Win Mag and you can put a can on it and you can build a rifle that weighs 12 pounds if you're willing to carry that. And you're going to do a lot for recoil management. I mean, you can do a lot of things to adjust that triangle, but that's kind of where I look at it. And if you take that approach, you can apply almost any caliber rifle and any shooter, and you just say, hey, maybe we are shooting a little smaller. We're shooting a 6mm Creedmoor because my shooter can't handle a 300 Win Mag, and that means we just have to get in closer to an elk. We can still do that. That still gives us an opportunity to go out hunting with the intent of a good experience and a good elk.
Man, you guys make all valid points, and where I go with this is, do we overthink it? Do you know your ballistics well enough to know, like, this works? I know this works. Like the 6.5 Creedmoor, like that is the one that gets tossed out more than anything. The man bun gun from the West, like, man, I know the ballistics on that, and I know my limitations with that. I'm choosing it to go out west. Now, Brian, what would you choose? A guy coming out, going to go on his first elk hunt, and maybe he's new to hunting. Maybe he's the guy who's like going to go out to he's like your typical hunter. I'm going to go out to the range. I'm going to make sure my gun's sighted in, if they do that. So what are they going to do? What are you going to recommend that these guys take?
Yeah, so there's a couple guns out there that I really like that can kind of serve as a one platform does it all, right? Without going crazy, right? Like, yeah, 338 Lapua will take everything in the
especially
lower
if you want to,
but I don't recommend that for most people. Yeah, I like the 270 Win. It's a great, I think, timeless caliber. I like the 6.5 Creedmoor. I've seen that bullet do a lot of good things. Like you said, just got to understand it. I would rather have a hunter use a weapon system that they can shoot well. For example, a 6.5 Creedmoor. And I would rather them understand that bullet and just know where they need to get into on an elk, rather than think they need a 300 Win Mag because that's the hallmark Western elk rifle. But they don't shoot it well, they don't understand the ballistics well, and they could still lead to bad experiences. I'd much rather have them in that other scenario and just like push it. Like, you just got to get into, a little tighter. You can't be taking 500, 600 yard shots.
There's no way. Like, I've seen more hunters groove extremely bad habits with a 300 Win Mag, or you name the large caliber, whatever it might be. 300 Rum, 338 Lapua. I've seen more hunters groove really bad habits that transfer over when you move them into something small. I had a guy, local guy, good buddy, he hunts with me all the time. He thought, man, you just use a 300 Win Mag, it'll kill everything. 100% it will. If you can shoot it, that's great. Yeah. But we set him up, and I was like, dude, just shoot my 6.5 Creedmoor just for this season. He missed like 3 deer. He missed 3 deer with the 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm not talking, these are layup shots. These aren't like 500. That's a whole new topic for another show. But he grooved a bunch of bad habits. He grooved that flinch in. He grooved jerking that trigger, and it transferred into a smaller caliber. Like, it's sad to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why my 300 Win Mag weighs 13 pounds and I have a monster break on it. It's to reduce that recoil so I can shoot it like it deserves to be shot, and I get the benefit of the extra energy. If I couldn't do that, I wouldn't be shooting a gun that I'm afraid of and that I'm going to flinch on.
Oh, it kind of starts chapping me, and I direct a lot of people to go watch, go listen to the Tundra Talk podcast, and now your podcast, Drawn West. Like, look at these guys. Like, they are doing some amazing things with small calibers just based on bullet construction and terminal ballistics, and they can shoot because they practice their craft, and I think that's one thing that's lacking in today's hunter.
Yeah, there's really no excuses in today's world. We have all the information in the world on bullet construction, terminal performance. You can shoot, you can understand all this stuff. Gone are the days where you just take a Remington core lock and make sure you still hit the plate at 100 yards.
The old deadliest mushroom in the woods. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. Look, let's jump in here and let's finish this theme. Small calibers, big game. When it comes to understanding your ballistics and understanding how they work downrange is critical. But most importantly, you also need to develop your skills as a hunter to take down that animal ethically within the fewest shots possible. Work competitions, gain that sense of urgency under the clock, the sense of urgency that comes only when that animal is standing in front of you, your heart's pumping, that adrenaline's really going. But work on yourself. Work those positional shooting positions, work under stress. Understand your terminal ballistics, and you'll have more success in the field. As always, Gun Talk Hunters, this is KJ. Keep those barrels pointed in a safe direction, and always be on the hunt.